saw that there was like something good going there, but I didn't think it was going to be
to this degree.
At least, yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
not.
I mean, no one was. It's great when wrestling's good. There's nothing that I like more. And this is good wrestling.
This is good wrestling.
This is good sports entertainment, good pro wrestling, just great.
At its finest, brother. Welcome to the Lariat Lounge. This is the home of smart takes, hard hits, and real talk. I'm your host, Everson Godfrey, co-host Andrew Skeens. Skeener, we are fresh off of Clash in Paris. We are fresh off of Monday Night Raw. And honestly, kind of a boring week of wrestling, if you ask me. Like, super lame. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, not too many developments, not too much to talk about. Pretty chalk, exactly like we told you all it would happen last week.
Yeah, it was a pretty boring week of wrestling, except for the fact that it absolutely wasn't. If you missed Clash in Paris, first of all, it was a great card. I thought the card generally was overall good. The developments, however, absolutely not what I expected, but way better than I think I would have imagined. I don't know. What do you think generally?
Really, really enjoyable show. I liked everything. Lot of good matches. I mean, we'll go over everything. And I thought Raw was really entertaining on Monday. So I think what I thought may have kind of been a filler show turned out to be very entertaining in the end.
I agree. This certainly was not the kind of a Saturday night's main event that we kind of imagined it was going to be. But that is a wonderful thing because we have got some really good stuff coming out of Clash in Paris. And I think that if what they're doing is indeed what they're doing, and WWE will be foolish to set this up and not deliver, I think the pop is going to be massive, potentially massive on Friday. But who knows? We'll get there. In the meantime, welcome back, guys. We had a great week of wrestling. So, Skeener, please let our friends know where they're going to be getting all the updates for what it is we do here, what it is we do here in the future, going into the ESPN era and into the future.
You're already here, but just in case you don't know, we're coming at you once a week, every week, at least once a week in this podcast format on all your favorite platforms, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. We're coming at you there. We're over on Instagram at the Lariat Lounge Podcast, throwing up posts, polls, questions. Want you to get involved there. Every time a new episode drops and it's up, you'll get a post. So follow us over there if you want to stay in the know. If social media is not your thing, please feel free to send us an email or reach out at thelariatlounge@gmail.com. Reach out, get involved. We love hearing from you all.
Absolutely, guys. So, hey, we're going to cut right to the quick today. Enough with the fluff. Let's get to the stuff. Now, I'm not going to bury the lead here. Okay? Sometimes we like to do that. But I was honestly excited about Clash in Paris. I know, Skeener, you didn't get to catch that as early as I did. And you shot me a text and asked me had I watched the show. And I did. And I told you that the outcome of Clash in Paris was really, really exciting. And they seem to be leaning completely into the idea that from the fallout of the main event of Clash in Paris, where we had Jey Uso, CM Punk, LA Knight, and Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. LA Knight takes himself out through a table. Jey is unavailable. I can't remember. Oh, he got attacked by the Vision, so he's out of the mix. And so this leaves CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is about to literally try and decapitate my boy Punk in a chair. He misses. We get a couple F-bombs. Those weren't blanked out. And it looks like Punk is about to win. He hits him with a GTS. Seth bounces off the rope and falls right back into his arms for a second GTS. He's ready to put him to sleep. And in comes a masked assailant. Who could it be? Austin Theory. I'm kidding. It was not Austin Theory. It was Becky freaking Lynch. Now, this was something that you and I spoke about at one point in the past. I think it was just like kind of in passing. And it was kind of like, what if Becky Lynch joins their group? And you move off of it. Now, with Becky showing up, I feel like it's almost implied, because they didn't say outright, but it's almost implied that Becky Lynch is now irreversibly tying herself to the Vision and what they're doing moving forward. But before we get into Monday's segment, Skeener, what were your thoughts about the main event of Clash in Paris?
Thought the match itself was really great. It's always fun when you get these multi-man matches. You know they're going to be entertaining, fast-moving. For sure, you just got all those moving parts and pieces to play with. Love the finish. Loved the, as you alluded to, the sell of Seth hitting that chair and Punk getting in that GTS, and then obviously Becky comes in and helps Seth retain. I mean, that was I don't think anyone saw that coming here, or at least I never saw anyone say that. Haven't seen anyone claimed that they saw that coming, but it does kind of make perfect sense that Seth was in a bind. I mean, we saw the moment earlier in that match where he was surrounded by the other three, and I think he was yelling out for Paul, and we know Paul wasn't there. He got choked out earlier. But to just see him by himself, but as he said earlier, he's 2 steps ahead, and when he didn't have anyone else to rely on, who better to rely on than his dastardly wife, who was in the building as well. And It's definitely a fun new direction I don't think we saw coming.
No, I like I said, I think we mentioned it at least maybe once in passing, but nothing serious. But now that I've got it, I can't imagine what this would look like had it gone another way. And that to me always is like the hallmark of something that's really good, that you've really got something when, even though it's not what I was thinking was going to happen 4 days ago, I can't imagine what this would look like had she not done it, because the angle itself on the PLE was really great and they played it really well. And Punk really, really sold this sense of like absolute dejection and absolute befuddlement at the end of the match, right? Where it's like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do at this point. It's like every time I turn around, this guy has a sneaky way to steal this title out of my grasp. And yeah, the main event was really great. Obviously, you've got 4 great competitors in that match. And yeah, you have multi-man magic all the time. But I really think genuinely, Jay, LA, CM Punk, and Seth really did a great job of complementing each other's strengths and playing to a really well told, well thought out match. And just the idea that, yeah, we've got a ring full of baby faces and 1 heel, but by no means are the faces on the same page with each other. They're not playing buddy-buddy with each other and trying to, win this thing in an honorable fashion and let's just make it one-on-one and take out the bad guy. They did at one point, but that was after. They tried, and Jay couldn't help from kicking CM Punk. I love that moment in the match, and before we got away from the match, I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to bring it up. That was one of my favorite moments where, no one's on the same page, and it's kind of, it fits. It makes sense. LA Knight's like, hold on, like let's take this jackass out, and then we can deal with it, And Punk, Jay get the tables. Punk gets out there, they get the table, and Jay super kicks him, and LA Knight's just like, come on, man, what are you doing? Yeah. And it just falls apart, and it's so I really like that moment in the match. Yeah, I enjoyed it. And for me, I really like the dynamic between LA Knight and Jay throughout that match and leading into Monday, right? Like I genuinely like the idea that despite the fact that I was kind of iffy storyline wise about Jay and Roman kind of being cool again, at the end of the day, it does lean into this idea of their family. You know what I mean? And it's like family business is wrestling. That is the family business. And sometimes you're not going to be on the same page with each other, but you're still family at the end of the day. And that's what's the main thing and was really important. And so Jay, being who he is and loves and cares about his family, he's going to come to Roman's defense and, show up for Roman when he needs it. And Roman definitely caught the business in the opener with that W over Big Bronson. But wasn't really a win, though, because ultimately he took a big L. And, we'll get to that match later. But, for the overview, Jay comes to his defense after the match is won. And he catches a tsunami and a couple spears for his troubles. And so he came into the main event, taped up, injured, but he remembered what Roman said to him, which was, you need to go out for self. Like, don't trust these other people, and don't lean too much into helping everybody else, because it's just going to set you back, which ironically he came to help Roman and it set him back a bit. But all that to say, that dynamic between LA Knight and Jey Uso in that match, I thought was really awesome. And yes, Jey just super kicking everyone while they're trying to kind of like team up on Seth. There's an edge that's forming on Jey, and I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, and I definitely enjoyed him opening Raw with that edge and saying, we're not going to do the second entrance tonight. I'm here to take care of business. And I liked that little interaction between him and LA Knight, because it's nice that just because they're quote unquote good guys, they don't all have to be friends, especially when they're out here fighting against each other and for the same spot, the same prize. Yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And there was that one point in Raw when right before the Vision came out to challenge them to a tag match, where LA Knight was in Jay's face telling him pretty much, if you don't understand where it is that you're going wrong here, I'm more than happy to show you. Dude, it's the little things, the little nuanced things in characters that really make the difference between a cool spot and someone really owning their character in that spot. And it was just the way Jay took his shades off, right? And now he stepped to him and was almost just like, okay, what you going to show me? Let's go, LA. What you got to show me? And the way he did it was just really edgy in a way that Jay has yet to really show. He didn't even show that with Gunther. And that was a really personal feud that he has storyline wise with Gunther. And this one seems like we're getting maybe like a mixture of that Jay from the Gunther feud with the kind of badass edge that he had when he was the right-hand man in the Bloodline. And it's a great combination. He seemed dangerous in that moment. And I like it, because if there was anything, in my opinion, that Jay was short of, it's that danger factor, right? Like everybody else in that four-way match have an edge about them, right? And Jay was that guy who, yes, he's a world champ. He's a former world champion. Yeah, he's on the main event scene. We all like Jay. And Jay can go. He's gotten a lot better. But Jay's got to become more than that. And like we've always said, when you start developing those layers, developing those angles, getting those edges, right? You just give that character a little bit more depth and more nuance. So Jay needed that, and that was a great look for him. And then let's not gloss over CM Punk and Seth Rollins, because, with their angle on Raw, which, by the way, I legit was thinking to myself, what if Seth doesn't show on Monday?
I didn't think he was going to.
You didn't think he was going to?
Which would have been... No, I'm sure he went out there and I'm sure he wrestled a dark match or something, but I thought it almost would have been better if he didn't. Just why would he in character? Like, why is he showing up? He doesn't have a match. He's made the master stroke. I think it would have been almost as effective to just send Becky, essentially, send Becky out there, or Becky sends herself out there. Maybe if she'd have said, I told him to stay home because I could handle you, Punk.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not like his presence detracted from anything for him.
Oh, absolutely not.
Go ahead, because I feel like we're both going to wax poetic about that promo, that interaction.
Dude, that angle right there, man, listen, it's one of those things that when it started to happen, when Becky came out to Seth's music, by the way. And,
great to just like they give it that couple extra beats. No one's coming out. No one's coming out. You finally see someone, and then the crowd's like, okay. Now we see. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was great. And Becky comes out doing her best Seth Rollins entrance. And she honestly, aside from how loud the crowd was, which normally I have something to say kind of about the Euro crowd sometimes. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's kind of like, eh. But, dude, the Paris crowd was hot. They were hot all weekend. And
for two nights for every segment.
For every
I guess
segment.
3 for Smackdown, too. Like, shout out to the crowd. They were in it.
Listen, I will say this, and then we'll get back to what we're saying. If you are a country that is not the United States and you want to have more WWE presence, that's how you do it. That's how you do it, is you really turn up and you really show out in a way that some of the Euro crowds do, but they do it with a lot of songs and chants, and it's fine, I guess. But all you got to do is really participate and really be hot. And that arena that they were in, not small. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they said that's the biggest indoor arena in Europe.
Yeah. I think they packed on Clash in Paris. I think it was a little
30-some,
a little over 30,000.
Yeah,
in there.
I remember the guy, the French announcer, coming up there and saying it.
Yeah, that's quite a few people. Yeah, that they had in there. I mean, that was not a small crowd. And they were really loud and really hot. And I remember Cena saying something on the post show about how it felt like WrestleMania. And, the set was freaking awesome too, which I hope they do more of that.
The Eiffel Tower set, that really was cool.
I hope they do more of that, because that's something that I do genuinely miss, is them taking more opportunities to build out sets for PLEs. But Paris was hot. They were on fire. And Becky comes out there and she honestly cuts a promo that makes a lot of sense, at least from her perspective, right? Which is, all this time that you were away, forget my husband, all this time that you were away, all they did was chant your name during my spots. I felt like that was disrespectful, because I am who I am. And the fact that they're chanting for someone who doesn't work here, well, it pisses me off too. And Punk comes back pretty much stating that I'm not going to disparage you, because you are who you are, which is a world-class performer, a world-class wrestler, and you are a star in your own right, and that you are not living in your husband's shadow, but instead he's living in yours. And Seth shows up and he starts taunting Punk, telling him to come and get him. He's at the top of the ramp. If you want me, come and get me. Punk's like, no problem. Punk goes to get out the ring. Becky prevents him from getting out of the ring in the most childish way imaginable. And it absolutely works, in the sense that obviously you got a guy there. He's not going to push or hit or shove a girl. So all she's got to do is get in his way. Mm-hmm. And he's not going to shove past her. And then Becky proceeds to pummel CM Punk with a series of slaps across his face. And she looks like she is having the time of her life.
Yeah, and not just the slaps, but then she puts her head down and sticks her head in his chest, just totally embarrassing him and playing up the fact. And you can tell that she's like, oh, I know you're not going to hit me, so I'm just going to do all this to you. Yep. And I think, we haven't said it yet, but I think the prevailing wisdom and what would make sense is this is leading to the return of AJ Lee to be the one to put her hands on Becky. And as Punk said, as he's leaving the ring, not only is he going to make Seth regret doing all this, taking the title from him and stealing the title from him, but he's going to make Becky Lynch regret, or not he's going to make, but Becky Lynch will regret putting her hands on him. So I think we're all speculating and assuming that means what we think it means. And I think at this point it'd be silly not to. It just seems so fit and tailor-made. And I assume that is the possible, thunderous pop you were referencing earlier. But yeah, Becky, I talk about it every time she gets to do one of these segments, but just is on top of her game. Just right where she needed to be with this promo, just so annoying and self-righteous and self-assured in her own position and her untouchable quality in terms of physically and, otherwise. She just plays it so well. And I thought that was just another great promo on Monday. And we had great CM Punk work too, where you're right, just like from Sunday, he just plays up that desperation of like, this is still going on. I am still dealing with this after all this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I can't wait for this to keep playing out, because for them to find a way to get, for my money, two of, your best characters on the microphone, two people that really know what, and I hate doing this. I don't like using real names a lot because I don't know these people. But to make this point, Phil Brooks really knows who and what CM Punk is and how CM Punk would react to any given situation. The same way Rebecca Quinn knows how Becky Lynch would act and what she'd say, how she'd move. And that's when magic happens, is when people really figure that out and they can lose themselves in that and really portray it. And I think that's what we got on Monday, is magic, pretty much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. Like, that is the way things play out when people are really in their bag, when they really know their characters and they're really able to work well together. Like, we see it often because there are enough people that are in the WWE currently who really know their characters, right? And when you really know your characters and you're in a feud with anyone who is, above average, you're going to have a good promo battle between the two of them, right? One of them can be good and the other one can be great, and they can help to elevate each other. But then every so often you get a scenario like on Monday, right? Where you've got two people in the ring who absolutely, positively, 100% unequivocally know who they are inside the ring and out. And because of that, not only do they follow the story beats and tell the next story beat really well, but the character work on top of that is just spot on. Like, just the way Becky was carrying and comporting herself in that match, like you said, just lends so heavily to this overly egotistical individual that is Becky Lynch, who is married to an overly egotistical champion in Seth Rollins. And it does so well at balancing off this idea that CM Punk, who is the best in the world, is at such a disadvantage because he can never seem to get one over. And even in his desperation, they still rub it in his face, right? And that's what Becky, in my opinion, was in that segment. It was an extension of Seth rubbing it in his face that you don't own anything here. You don't run anything here. And I will continue to embarrass you because you will never be able to succeed as long as I breathe. And it just worked so well. And it worked so well, too, because if you are a married man, you understand absolutely what that line means when you say, you're going to regret ever putting your hands on me. Now, obviously, the phrase is pretty obvious what's going to happen. But as a married man, we understand that we love our wives and that our wives love us. And that if a man were to ever put their hands on our wives, the lengths to which we would go to deliver a layer of retribution would be legendary. And the idea is mutual on the other side. You're slapping this man up all upside his face. You're pushing your forehead into him, just embarrassing him, demeaning him, and everybody's just laughing. You're going to regret that. Particularly because, according to Adam Pearce, because I guess Punk didn't know prior to, the end of Monday Night Raw, but SmackDown's going to be in Chicago. So it stands to reason, at least my opinion, I'm hoping. And I'm just going to go ahead and just lean in on this because it seems like WWE is leaning in on this. I'm hoping, man, that we get AJ Lee on Friday to start to build to a mixed tag match at WrestlePalooza. It definitely seems like they are trying to stack the deck for WrestlePalooza because they're making us wait an additional 3 weeks for the Women's World Championship match because they're going to put it on WrestlePalooza, which, by the way, so Io Sky is the person who Pierce had in mind, which now that I think about it, duh, she was the only other person.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like, oh yeah, she had this title match against Naomi. Stephanie had a title match. Why wouldn't they just wrestle now for the vacant title? Right. They still earn title matches regardless of who it was against.
I have no idea how that slipped our mind when we were talking about it, but it absolutely did. So when he said that, I was like, oh yeah, duh, of course. Of course it should be her. It makes all the sense in the world. So yeah, that's rolling over to WrestlePalooza, and we're going to probably get this mixed tag match at WrestlePalooza.
Yeah, that's what I would figure. It seems like, they're really, like you said, they're stacking this. So, I mean, what better, assuming that, you're doing this CM Punk, AJ versus Becky and Seth mixed tag, what better thing to complement kind of, Cena Lesnar, presumably still, than that? I think that's just a great spectacle that the crowd will be into for sure. Oh, and again, one more thing before we move on. It's kind of, again, plays into that idea you talked about earlier, like, this makes so much sense. Why didn't I think about this? Duh, this is going to happen. Like, we never really, we were never saying, oh, when's Becky going to step up to CM Punk? But it makes so much sense because, Punk's said all these horrible things about her husband. They've been fighting. We've referenced in universe that these characters that Seth and Becky are married, duh, his wife's going to get involved. That makes so much sense. But we never thought about it, and I'm glad we're there because it's just great, and I think it's going to be great entertainment in the coming weeks.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those things, man, that I feel like this was something that we kind of ancillarily talked about on Ring Rust one day when we were doing, I think we might have been doing like a draft or something. And we were talking about mixed tag matches and how WWE is they just don't lean in that direction often. You know what I'm saying? Where they do like mixed tag matches. They certainly don't do like intergender wrestling, but it's not something that they go to the well with too many times. So, I give us a little bit of grace in that respect for not thinking, of course they would do this, because even if that seemed obvious, it seemed less obvious that WWE would be doing a mixed gender tag match. Not that that's unprecedented for them, because it's certainly not, but they just don't do it often enough for us to really predict it with any type of accuracy, which I also think too is part of the reason why this is so cool too, because we don't get this very often. And so, getting this on such a scale, like, I'm sorry, I mean no disrespect to Miz and Maurice and Edge and Beth, but this is going to absolutely top that mixed tag match by leaps and bounds. I mean, AJ Lee, in my opinion, has to be probably the biggest holdout to not return to WWE currently. Like, man or woman.
And just like the real life aspects that go into this just make it even better. Because we know that hopefully, at least I'm hoping not still, but like at one point, these two dudes hated each other. Yeah. Seemingly. And that, if you were talking about it, married life, like if you hated someone that much and that publicly, like your wife knows about that. And she probably feels some type of way about that. So to get that involved, it's just, I think it's going to be great. I really, really do. I don't see how it couldn't be. And on top of that, we get to see, a fan favorite we haven't seen for a decade, right?
At least.
Maybe a little over a decade. I think yeah, I think 11 years. Trying to remember what years what WrestleManias were in. So yeah, I think
what,
over 11.
Oh wow, yeah. I think it's over a decade for sure. It's over a decade for sure. I don't know. I was a huge AJ Lee fan, and I think, and obviously that's not a that's not a hot take, because there are a lot of people who love AJ Lee, and so for her to be on the way back to WWE, if only for one match, I think it'll be absolutely worth it. And the fans are going to lose their collective minds. So that right there is going to be, listen, if Lesnar and Cena was not happening at WrestlePalooza, this would obviously be the main event, without a doubt. But speaking of Cena, so John Cena and Logan Paul at Clash in Paris, I thought that was a wonderful match. You know what was even crazier than that match, though, Skeens?
You tell me.
What happened after the match, right? Because after the match, John Cena has beaten Logan Paul. He's celebrating with the Paris crowd one last time. Boom. Brock Lesnar's music hits. The Beast is in Paris. Hold on. I'm getting a word. What's that? Oh, we didn't get Brock Lesnar at all. We didn't get a mention of Lesnar. Not even a whisper, a whiff, a sniff of Brock Lesnar. I'm confused, and maybe you can help me out. I doubt it, but maybe you can. Did they not allude to Lesnar at the end of like the go home episode of Smackdown for Paris before he got punched by Logan?
I think it wasn't the go home, but it was the week before, and we talked about it because he said, Adam Pearce said, like, I got to tell you something about Brock or something to Cena.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't really know. I have to think where. We'll see where it goes. I mean, maybe it's one of those things where they had something planned and it fell through, but yeah, I'd honestly forgotten about him saying that, and I was talking about that until you just said it, and yeah, I don't know. I can't explain it to you. I don't have the answer.
Dude, it's one of those things. So I am enjoying John Cena's farewell tour. I think just in general, the idea that this is Cena's last year, that he's now in single digit dates. I think he said he got like 6 or 7 left. And, it's you have the ability to take him in and embrace him and understand that this time is very limited. And so that's great. If I'm looking at it as simply a wrestling fan appreciating Cena, I can get behind it. I enjoy it, right? But subjectively, though, if I'm looking at it through the subjective lens of a story, a cohesive story that they have attempted to tell, I'm sorry, dude, but I feel like they're failing here. Or better said, it feels like they're flailing. Like maybe they had a direction, and then when The Rock divested, they had to pivot, right? They brought back Travis Scott that one time.
It certainly seems like
Yeah.
they have had to pivot a few times.
And it does seem like that. It seems like they pivoted away from Travis Scott's involvement. They had the whole Cena heel turn thing happening, and it seemed like for a moment that they had a direction, right? And then after a stern talking to from Cody, Cena changes his mind. That to me was another like moment where maybe there are a few pages in the script that are missing. And
we definitely, I still like our analogy of it's like there's 30 minutes on the cutting room floor of this movie somewhere where we figure out why that happened.
Yeah, the jump cuts are crazy.
Yeah.
The jump cuts are crazy. And now he's back to being a good guy. And now he was wrestling Cody, and then Brock comes out. As much as I necessarily didn't care if Brock came back, okay, at least we're getting the next chapter. Oh, wait, no Brock mention after SummerSlam. Brief Brock mentions after the Raw after SummerSlam. And then no mention of Brock for real until right before a Clash in Paris, and then we don't get any Brock. I kind of feel like Brock is a really, really large speed bump, a really large stopgap in the space we're in now and going through the end of Cena's farewell tour. Like, it just seems like now we're back to what we kind of thought Cena's farewell tour was going to be early on. At least we were hoping maybe that they wouldn't do, which is we're just playing the Cena hits until the clock runs out. And it kind of feels like that's what we're doing. Like, I don't feel like there's any real story direction anymore. It's just Cena tying up loose ends from a heel run that ended very abruptly. And you've got some matches in there that, I don't know, they count for something, I guess. Like, if he's got Lesnar at WrestlePalooza, for instance, I'm assuming we'll probably get Cena at least once between now and WrestlePalooza, right? So let's say we get him once.
I would think.
That means
you've only got 2 shows, right? So
what's that?
I think we've only got 2 Smackdowns between now and WrestlePalooza, right?
Yeah, right. So we've got 2. So he's going to show up on at least one, right? He's going to show up on at least one. So we got SmackDown this week, and then WrestlePalooza's in 3 weeks, right?
Let me check.
I think that's what Triple H said at the end of the post show about, like, see you guys in 3 weeks for WrestlePalooza.
No, it's the 20th, and that will be 2 weeks from. Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 20th.
I need to look at the calendar.
Yeah, I got mine pulled up right here. So yeah, it's on the 20th. So yeah, this week will be 1 week. Then next week is 2 weeks, and then so we have 3 Smackdowns between now and WrestlePalooza. So I mean, at least we're going to get him once. We might get him twice. If we get him twice in 3 weeks, right? That means we'll be down to 5 dates. Then WrestlePalooza will be 4, right? So we'll be down to 4 dates after WrestlePalooza. If we get Cena twice between now and WrestlePalooza, then we're going into Survivor Series. Survivor Series is 3 weeks from WrestlePalooza. Man, like, if we burn through 3 dates between WrestlePalooza through Survivor Series, that means that either Cena's last match is going to be on Survivor Series, or he's going to have one date remaining after Survivor Series. I just don't know how you wrap this Cena farewell tour bigger than Brock, unless you do The Rock. And I at this point, either they could really pull the wool over our eyes, really, and give us like a crazy Rock versus Cena match at Survivor Series, or you have Brock, and then it's like, where do you go after that? I have no idea. It's one of them things, Skeens, where it's like, I was not one of the people at first who thought to myself, why are you wasting a date on Logan Paul? But when I look at it now, not that I feel like that date was wasted, because I thought the match was great, but I do kind of think, man, if we didn't do Logan Paul at Clash in Paris, oh, wait, we still have Crown Jewel Perth.
Correct. And he'll definitely be there. So
wait a minute. Crown Jewel Perth. Okay, so WrestlePalooza is on the 20th. That's in September. Then Crown Jewel Perth is in October. And then Survivor Series is in November. Dude, Cena's last match is at Survivor Series. There's no way he gets through 7 dates between now and 3 PLEs. Absolutely. Come on. Like, ain't no way. And if he's wrestling Brock at WrestlePalooza, then I have no idea who he takes on at Crown Jewel Perth.
Yeah, which is 3 weeks after that.
Yeah. And we still have SmackDown dates in between then. Like, unless he sits Crown Jewel Perth out, which I don't think he's going to do.
Don't believe he is. I believe it's been said that he's going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's crazy. That's like let's see, where are we at? So the 5th, the 12th, the 19th are all dates for SmackDown, right? So that's 3. Then the 20th is WrestlePalooza. So that's 4 dates, right? Then you've got the 26th, the 23rd, the 10th, and then the 11th. And that will be what, Crown Jewel Perth? I think the 11th is Crown Jewel Perth. If it's 3 weeks after WrestlePalooza.
Yes. Okay. Yes, it's the 11th.
So that's 8 dates. Okay, we've already got more dates for between SmackDown and the PLE than Cena's got dates left, right? And then 3 weeks from that, the 17th, the 24th, the 31st, and then November 1 is around the time Survivor Series will be here. That's freaking...
Well, November 1st is Saturday night's main event.
Oh, he might not make it to Survivor Series.
Survivor Series is the 29th. November 29th.
You know what? You might be right, Skeens. His last match may be on Saturday night's main event.
We'll see. I'm not 100% sure they are beholden to the original amount of dates anymore
You don't think so?
because
Oh, because he hadn't been showing his ticker.
right, we haven't referenced that exact number in a while.
Except for the number of days that he gave at the end of Clash in Paris.
Did he see? I forgot about that.
Yeah,
or
he
I
was on
wasn't
the
paying
post show and
attention.
said specifically that he had 7 dates left.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how
You know what I'm saying? Like,
how
I'm
it
just
shakes
saying, if he's
out.
got
Yeah.
7 dates left between now and Saturday night's main event, you're talking about 12 dates. 12 dates on the calendar with 7 dates on his calendar, right? Even if you spread them out. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to have to at least do one Smackdown between PLEs. And that'll be, what, 2, 4, 6. That's 6 dates he would have to do if he did one Smackdown and each PLE. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's 6. And I think it was 7. I don't know if the 7 dates he said was including Clash in Paris or not. Because if it does include Clash in Paris, then, I mean, that's it. He's got a Smackdown and each PLE. And those are 6 dates, landing him at his final date being Saturday night's main event. I don't know. I mean, you could be on to something because, you know, it seems to be rounding out that way.
I don't know. I'm not so sure. That it just seems weird that there's that many shows you would think he may make. Maybe it's Survivor Series that he takes off and it lets War Games take the spotlight there, and then he takes the spotlight on that final Saturday night's main event that's in December.
Oh, wait, okay. I see what you're saying. So he may take November off.
Yeah, he wrestles Crown Jewel and that's it.
Okay, maybe. I mean, look, it seems so close because of how Cena has laid out prior, the amount of dates that he has. It seems close, but I mean, we're literally talking about out to December and we're at the start of September. So
yeah, I think we just gotta strap in and be along for the ride here.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
So back to loved the match with Logan. Thought it was excellent.
Yes, agreed.
Logan Paul can do and go as far as he wants, being a wrestler, sports entertainer.
Agreed.
And I'm glad John Cena got to do a one-on-one match with him. Speaking to the overall, like this whole John Cena retirement tour and what it's been, it seems like it's been a weird mix of two things. And one is just doing the matches and, for lack of better words, playing the hits, doing CM Punk, doing Randy Orton, doing Brock. And that's been like half of it. And then the other half has been attempted long-term, deeper character storytelling.
Yeah.
So he has his series with Cody that if you take out, and obviously you can't when you're looking at it, and this is what I mean, that it's a weird meld of things, that story makes somewhat sense and is like whole in itself, but the weird part is we got other stuff mixed in between. So like John Cena turns to the dark side to beat Cody Rhodes. All along, Cody Rhodes begs the real John Cena to come back because he wants to face the real John Cena. Real John Cena does come back. Cody conquers. He's the hero. That makes sense if you just look at it from that perspective. But the weird part of that is all the other stuff we got in between. And then like, I get, this Logan stuff was cool. Like he teamed with Logan and they went their separate ways, and John Cena, turned on those ideals, and now Logan says, hey, what the heck, man? And John Cena's like, well, I'll teach you, young kid. Yeah. And they have this match, and that makes sense. But when it's intermixed with there are these two longer term stories that were told, weaving in and out of the one-off playing of the hits. That's what's made this so weird. We'll have to take a look back on it once it's all done, but it seems like they're trying to do both too much and not enough at the same time. They're trying to do all sorts of stuff rather than just committing to one thing, and it seems like the whole has suffered.
Yeah.
Because of that. At least that's how I'm feeling right now.
No, I'm inclined to agree with you there. It definitely, to me, reeks of having to shuffle the deck because certain things did not land the way that they intended them to. Not because of a lack of effort, but because either Dwayne didn't show up to work or, something, I don't know. something went amiss or something did not land the way they wanted it to, and they've had to make some adjustments. And it just seems like those fingerprints are there. And so it, for me, doesn't make any of this less enjoyable. I think it's just much more of like, man, what could have been? Because I mean, you're never going to be able to erase the Cena heel turn from existing. I think for what it was great. It just had the promise to be so much more. And it just was not able to land that plane correctly on the tarmac. And I think that's just kind of what's taking away from the storyline enjoyment of it, you know, as it does.
So this is kind of how I thought about putting it, is the John Cena stuff is much more frustrating to me on Wednesdays or Thursdays, whenever we're recording this show, than it is on Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays. When
Sure.
I'm watching it and see John Cena. And I thought about this exact thing when he came out and the crowd was going crazy and they were so into that Logan match, and you know, everyone's just happy to see arguably the greatest of all time do it one more time.
Yeah.
In front of them. And that's what I mean. Like, when it's happening and he's out there performing, like, all that frustration gets washed away and you just get to enjoy seeing John Cena for one of the final times. But then, like, you know, when we sit here and discuss it and talk about how this story's played out and where it's going, that's where you're like, yeah, this could have been, seems like it could have been a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think these are the things that, unfortunately, and this is not necessarily how I personally feel, but being a wrestling fan for as long as I've been a wrestling fan, these are those things I believe that will haunt this farewell tour. Oh man, somebody is calling right when I'm trying to make my daggone point.
Yeah, I heard that.
On. Let me start that over. So, Unfortunately, I think these are the things that are going to haunt Cena's farewell tour for years to come after he's gone. Like, just what you described, I think was perfect. That I don't think about that stuff when I'm watching it. And I think that's because Cena is as good as Cena has ever been, particularly when it comes to his character work and all those things, right? Cena is Cena in the ring, take it or leave it. But no one can say that Cena is not a consummate professional in that ring, and that what he does well. And he is a great worker, and he's great for the business. And when he's on the mic, he is almost unparalleled. And he does a great job. And because, like we said earlier, because it's his farewell tour, right, we're already captivated. We are already a captive audience. And so as a wrestling fan, I don't think about those things when Cena's on the screen, when he's wrestling, because he does such a great job when he's in there. But I think that, like, our Wednesday conversations are indicative of what the conversation surrounding his farewell tour is going to be amongst wrestling fans. It'll never be characterized that way on wrestling programming. It'll be the greatest farewell tour you've ever seen in your life. But I think some of the wrestling fans will not necessarily pan it, but we'll be having conversations about not the greatness of John Cena, but just how great that farewell tour actually was. And all the things that came into play that for one reason or another just made the farewell tour not live up to its potential. And I think that is probably the hardest pill to swallow there. It's a little jagged, but at the same time, what can you do? The dude's got less than 8 dates left. So, they've got to do the best that they can. I just think that they need to stick the landing with this Lesnar bit, because I think right now they're not hitting with this right now. And I think that maybe if this was going to be the case, like if we were able to see the future and at SummerSlam we saw this in the future, if it was me, I would have held Lesnar closer to the vest. I would not have put him out there at SummerSlam. You let that match go off the way it goes off. Yeah, I know you want to get your huge pop, right, for your 2-night SummerSlam. But you could just let Seth have his big pop, and you could have sent that match off with Cena's last SummerSlam being where the crowd on the biggest stage that he has left get to really embrace and cheer him and, all these things. And then you save Lesnar for like his surprise opponent at WrestlePalooza. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that would have, in my opinion, that would have been a better way to introduce Brock. Is that, hey, Cena is doing his farewell tour stuff after SummerSlam. He lost to Cody. You know what I'm saying? He's no longer the champ. And, you know, he's doing the same thing he's doing now, just minus talking about Lesnar at all, which he barely talks about Lesnar now, right? And then WrestlePalooza's around the corner.
He hasn't talked about Brock Lesnar for a while.
No, he mentioned it one time. Yeah. Not the show after SummerSlam, but the show after SummerSlam. He mentioned Brock one time, right? So you have Cena doing what he's doing, and then WrestlePalooza gets announced, right? And mind you, they haven't announced Cena and Lesnar at WrestlePalooza yet. So let's just use the current timeline minus the one time that Lesnar showed up and the one time that Cena, mentioned him. And then Cena doesn't know who his opponent's going to be, right? And then we do
honestly, we very well, we're assuming it's Brock. I'm not betting my life on it's Brock at WrestlePalooza yet. I can still see that being Australia and they give us something out of the blue for WrestlePalooza just because they still haven't announced it.
Look, I hear you. Anything's possible. But I'm telling you, this is just my opinion. And then I'll let you finish. I didn't mean to cut you off, but no,
I didn't have much else to say.
I hear you. Anything's possible. My opinion, they are stacking the card for WrestlePalooza because this is the first PLE that will be hosted by ESPN, right? And they want to get as many eyeballs on the product as possible.
This is the acceleration of that timeline there's got to be a fun and interesting story behind that because we heard about it and it was going to be next year. And then all of a sudden it was, nope, it's going to happen in a month.
Oh yeah.
And not just a one-off on ESPN, but so long Peacock. They said their farewells to Peacock on Sunday.
They did. They slid that in the DMs real low key.
Yeah. So there's probably a fun behind-the-scenes story there. I'm assuming ESPN paid a pretty penny to tell WWE, why don't you come on over now?
Oh, yeah.
Rather than waiting a couple months.
Absolutely. And listen, they must also have that new ESPN application ready to go already.
Yeah, because I thought that was launching next year. And
that's what I thought.
It may already be launched, but that's going to be the big launch for it is the WrestlePalooza streaming.
Yeah, it is. And, I think that's my opinion. I think that's ready to launch.
Probably. I'm still betting on Brock, but I'm just saying I'm not stamping it 1,000%. I'm at 83%.
Sure. 83% out of 1,000. That's not a lot.
No,
that's not a lot at all.
Go 83. Yeah.
Listen, I think that it would be foolish. I think it'll be foolish to not put the Brock Cena match on WrestlePalooza. On such a big stage, the Colts arena is huge. You know what I mean? Is that where they're playing? That's where they're doing WrestlePalooza, right? No, where are they doing it? At the Cubs?
Not
Cubs,
Pacers.
but
Pacers. Yeah.
The Pacers. Okay.
Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Okay. Yeah, dude, it's a big venue. It's a big venue. And I think that they would absolutely be doing a disservice by not doing Brock and Cena, particularly when they should just stop dropping the breadcrumbs. At this point, in my opinion, don't tease me anymore with Brock. You keep bringing him up and then he's not showing up anywhere. So I don't know. If I could go back in time, dude, I would creep backstage, you know what I'm saying, at the Raw or SmackDown before SummerSlam. And I just tear that page out of the script so that maybe they would just skip it and be like, oh, what were you doing here?
Yeah, it's been weird because they were trying to wrap this Logan thing up, but also sell the Brock thing. So it's they're in two minds of, well, we got to finish this Logan story, but we've also got to start this Brock thing so he can do his one-off Brock match. It's been odd. There have been choices made that I can't explain to you. So maybe we'll find out one day, and probably we won't. But it'll be one to discuss for a long time, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. So what else happened at Clash in Paris? I'm trying to remember what other matches we got at Clash in Paris.
I mean, Roman attempted to reclaim the Shula Fala and got his lick back on Paul, but took a beat down for the ages.
Yeah.
And they definitely, will have Roman gets to take some time off after what I thought was a great match with Bronson. That was really good, but it just serves to make sure that you find out once a week, at least every week, that the Vision is running Monday Night Raw.
Yes.
And they are beating you down, and that these two guys, Braun and Bronson, are to be feared.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I loved it. Like, that was a vicious beatdown. Tsunami him, get him on the board. Tsunami him again on the board. Just take him out. That was a great way to open the show, I thought.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, Roman took a world-class beatdown. You would have thought he was like one of those portraits of the fighters that are beat up after Street Fighter. Wink, wink. But Roman's going to be out for a while. Obviously, he's going to shoot Street Fighter. So he'll be out for a while with that. So that was a great opener. And Bronson and Braun just look incredible together. They really do. And I think Bronson is starting to really get over with people now too. And yeah, they're just proving to be this multi-layered threat, the Vision is, right? They're just proving to be this multi-layered threat that are just running roughshod over everything, right? And for what it's worth, I feel like JD McDonough and Finn Balor are doing okay with the tag team championships, but nothing really noteworthy. I wonder at what point do Braun and Bronson run into Finn and JD? And how quickly do they take those titles off of them?
Yeah, like, what if the message is like the Vision controls everything? Why not? Because you're right. Like, what are Finn and JD really doing with those belts right now?
Right.
It seems like the Judgment Day stuff we're taking a step back, or at least that's, the spotlight's getting redirected until essentially Liv Morgan comes back and we can heat that back up.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see. That's at least what I'm taking from this last episode. So yeah, why not go ahead and throw those to Braun and Bronson, and it just furthers the Vision and Seth and Paul's claim that, hey, we run everything. These guys are the future. I told you so.
Yeah.
Insert Seth laugh. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, because look, Becky being the newest member of the Vision, I'm going to go ahead and claim that. But
yeah,
her being the newest member of the Vision, she already has gold. Seth has gold. And the honest truth, man, the tag team division on Raw is not that deep. They're not deep like they are on SmackDown. And those belts rarely, if ever, get defended. And so, honestly, they would serve better being around the waist or on the shoulders of Braun and Bronson. Just because when you're in a big storyline like that and you're in a big stable like that, you're obviously going to get more eyeballs on those titles. And it's a reason for you to not be defending them as often, right? Like, they can just be on television and be getting more ground built underneath them than they do around the waist of Finn and JD, and they barely get defended. And honestly, that's not a knock against Finn and JD. Like I said, it's just a situation where the Raw tag team roster is just not that deep. It does not have a lot of depth. And so even if you were trying to put more emphasis on the Raw tag team division, who are they going to wrestle over and over and over and over again? Like, honestly, it's one of those things, man, where when it comes to titles on WWE programming in general, if there was one championship title that I feel like did not need to be or does not need to be duplicated because of the fact you have two different shows, is the tag team championship for both the women and the men. You know what I'm saying?
Right now, for sure.
Well, it's just one of those things where it's like it takes two to be in a tag team, right? For technically one championship. Because yes, it's the tag team champions, but they don't wrestle for those belts individually, right? So it's one title and it takes two people. And it's like double story that you have to build, because you have to build a story between the two people who are in the tag team, right? Less so if they're already an established tag team, but you still need to build some dynamics in between them so that we care about the team. But more times than not, WWE, when they don't have a deep tag team division, they throw people together, right? And then you have to spend the time to make us care, right? So you invest a lot of time to make us care. And while they're making us care about these tag teams, they're already wrestling other tag teams. So by the time they finally get the championship, all the people that they're wrestling, we've already seen them wrestle once or twice or 3 times, depending on what program you're on. And so it makes the tag team division really stale. You don't get that so much when you have the singles titles, because you can wrestle a bunch of people on your way to the top. And then once you get that title, you'll wrestle a whole different set of people after you've achieved the championship, right? And so it just gives for a different dynamic to the run, because the roster doesn't have to be doubled up every time there's a challenge, right? And so I really wish that for the tag team championships, there was just one. And once you're the tag team champion, you get to float. You float between shows. You know what I'm saying? And you wrestle whatever tag teams are available. That would just make for more tag teams available for you to compete against, right? More times for that tag team championship to be seen. And honestly, it makes it a little more prestigious. You know what I mean? Because if there's any title on the WWE roster that needs more love than anyone else, honestly, it's the tag team titles. And that's saying something, because the U.S. title does exist. You know?
It does. Hey, Sammy won it. That's about all I care to say about that.
Dude, you know what? I almost forgot he won it.
LOL, Sammy wins. He's going to struggle to beat the Sammy Hogan allegations for a bit, I feel like.
Yeah. He is. He's going to struggle with that. Some of that is not his fault. Some of that is, in my opinion anyway, some of that is how the Karrion Kross situation played out.
Yeah.
And
most likely, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But
and
it's so weird. He can't, like, I talked about it. I loved what Solo's been doing. And then just poor Sammy just came to you know, to give him the old rub.
Yeah.
Give him the old Hogan rub.
Yeah. But you know what, though? Like, they need to really move the Samoans away from the United States Championship. Like, I really want them to do more stuff. You know what I mean? And it's like that U.S. Championship, in my opinion, is a very large warped black hole that if you get too close to it and you don't have enough mass, right, to keep yourself from gravitationally being pulled into it.
Yeah, I like this. I like this metaphor.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you just have to be a big enough star. Like, no pun intended that time, right? But like, you have to be a big enough star to really be in that vortex of the U.S. title and then escape it. And it's like, if you're not, you will just get stuck orbiting around the U.S. title. And I feel like that's what Solo, what the Tongans, what Jacob, to a certain extent, you know, have all been subject to, is the dreaded mid-card vortex. And there's no bigger black hole in the center of that galaxy than the U.S. title. And you just got to get away from it. I think Sammy is a big enough star to where you put the U.S. title on him and break him away from Jimmy, which hopefully we're doing that because Jimmy showed up on Raw to help Jay. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we're breaking Jimmy away from that. Hopefully we can get Jacob into something else. We can send Solo into something else, right? And then once you've got all these other celestial bodies away from the U.S. title, let Sammy take that U.S. title and put it somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Put it in another subset of wrestlers that can now orbit around that space and get some shine in some new matches and some new interactions. Because even though Sammy is technically new back to the U.S. title scene, obviously, and it's his first time winning the U.S. title, almost all of the people in that U.S. title scene he's already had history with. You know what I'm saying? Minus Talatonga, right? He's already had history with all these people. So let them move away and let them start doing something else. And let Sammy use that U.S. title as a vehicle to wrestle maybe some new people that he's never been in the ring with. You know what I mean? Like, there are some matches that could be lined up, specifically because Rusev is now done with Sheamus, right? And I think that promo that Rusev cut, that segment Raw? That he did,
yeah, I like that.
That was good. I like that too. It was good, right? So,
I will say that match, the match was great for what it was, and watching it, I just wish I had on Clash. I mean, I just wish I hadn't seen it before. Great, very innovative finish though. Like I love that the accolade and then like laying back with it with the shillelagh in his mouth. Like that was cool. All
the stuff that they showed in the highlights on Raw were the best parts. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be honest to you, full disclosure, I skipped it.
I mean, I'm not saying I was edge of my seat glued to it, but when I looked up from my phone occasionally, it was fun. Fun things were happening.
Yeah, my thing is I like the components, right? I like all the parts of the salad. I like Rusev. I like Sheamus. Street fight matches are always cool. But those two together was just the starter feud that just would not end.
Yeah,
and
seemingly.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, it just needed to be over. And so I'm sure that Donnybrook match was fun enough to watch. But I'm just ready for Sheamus to kind of be back onto something else, to maybe open himself up and move on to something else. And specifically Rusev, because he's relatively new back to the company, right? He came out on top of this feud, which I think was the right call to make, and put him in a position now to where, let's make Rusev a monster, right? Like if he's taking out someone like Sheamus, he should be a legitimate and credible threat to someone like Sami Zayn. He should be a legitimate and credible threat to someone like Jacob Fatu. He should be a legitimate, credible threat to some of these people on the mid card. You know what I mean? And
he's on the wrong show for those guys, though.
He is, but like the IC champ is Dom still, right? And the only people who seem to be challenging for that IC title is AJ Styles. Like, he's on the show, but like, do you move into a program with Dominic and Rusev? I mean,
probably not.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's no juice with that. And I'm struggling right now to think about any other people who are significant in the mid card of Raw on the men's side. Like, there's just been so much focus on other things, and I get it. But, I mean, what are you going to do? Problem is, some of the people who I think would be good in mid-card are tied up in the tag teams. That's probably one of the reasons why Finn and JD should lose those titles, right? Because that would open up Finn and JD. I definitely think whatever we're doing with... But is Damian Priest on Raw, or is he on SmackDown?
SmackDown, because
he's
still entangled with Black. Yeah.
See, and there's another person. That's what I was thinking too. I was like, Rusev versus Aleister Black would be an interesting dynamic, right? And I think Aleister looks, or at least he carries himself to be such a, hard ass tough guy. I would love to see him get pummeled by Rusev. And I would. Like, I would love to see him throw those kicks, and I would love to see just this big Bulgarian bear just maul it.
Tell us how you really feel.
I would love to see Rusev against at some point a returning Gunther.
Yeah, we haven't seen Gunther in a bit.
No, he stepped away for a minute. I'm not sure when he's going to be coming back, but he deserves a little time off. But yeah, I would love to see Rusev against somebody else, because I think that he's one of those people who I really think has a lock on his character, and we just haven't put him in a position yet to really shine. And I think after the Sheamus feud, I think we can move on from that, and we can do some other things. But yes, of that Donnybrook match, I'm sure it was good. The highlights looked fun. But I'm not even gonna hold you. That match came on, and that match went off for me. It was on for maybe 3 seconds.
That was the SmackDown tag match for me.
Oh, wait. So who was that? The Street Profits.
The Wyatt Six and the Street Profits.
See, you know what? I started. This is how they got me, right? When the Street Profits came out and I saw their Titantron video, right? And I was like, yo, that's the Borderlands dude. Like, I didn't know they were doing a Borderlands crossover at first. So I saw
that's why that match got added, I'm sure. To the card.
I'm sure. Cross promotion. But yeah, I saw that and I was like, that looks like the Borderlands dude. Right. And then when they came out and they had those Borderlands masks on, I was like, oh, cross promotion. That got me through the intro. Right. That got me through the intro because I was definitely thinking, I wonder how they're seeing out of those masks. I mean, they look cool. Right. And every time Doc did the whole like pointing at his head thing like they do on the cover of Borderlands, I was like, that looks kind of sick. I ain't gonna hold you. And then I stayed to watch the Wyatt's intro. And then I was like, okay, about to fast forward. And then I started seeing the tension between the Street Profits. And I was like, okay, I'm going to watch this, not because I really want to see the Wyatt 6, but it's something about to happen with the Street Profits that I don't want to miss. You know what I'm saying? Because at this point, I'm like, what a built-in story that they could tell if they tell it well, right? Give us what we did not fully get with the New Day. We started it. Right. And then it ended in them booting Big E officially out of the group and recollecting amongst themselves and becoming heel tag team. But I thought we were going to get a real feud between Kofi and Woods. Let's do it with the Street Profits. You know what I mean? Like, let's do it with the Street Profits and let's put Doc against Montez and really split them up. Like, a la Ciampa and Gargano after DIY broke up in NXT. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's got to be something. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Like, we've got to find some juice between that combination of tag teams in the scene on SmackDown. Like, and Street Profits, like, that could inject some juice, but like all those teams, like, you want to talk about a black hole, like that is a black hole of 10, 15 minutes every SmackDown for me.
Yeah.
Is just, and it's not, and the performers, again, like, they're trying, and like, I love the Street Profits, they're great, but they still haven't given me a reason to care.
Yeah, well, and I think, see, for me, that's why I'm like, and obviously, if you break the Street Profits up, or you're starting to build that, this is no longer a tag team thing. This is a singles feud.
Well, right.
You know what I'm saying? Which, that's what I am speaking of right now. That's what I want to see, is I want to see Doc versus Ford. And let that be a feud that they can really tell, a la the whole New Day thing, but they didn't follow through with the New Day, right? As far as the SmackDown tag team division itself goes, dog, I have nothing for you. You know, I have nothing for you as far as the tag team division itself. But you know, listen, I will say this. This is maybe the old school wrestling fan in me, and they're not going to do anything about it now because I do think they're leaning into the idea of breaking the Street Profits up. But I have no problem with B-Fab being with the Street Profits as their manager, right? Is it just me, Skeener, or does the manager either need to be to the side or in front of their act when they're walking out? Like, if B-Fab is behind them, she just looks like a tacked on accessory. Like, she's just there because she's on the roster and they don't know anything else to do with her. And that may actually be the case, right? But she ain't got to really do nothing. All she got to do is the same B-Fab thing she always does, except put her coming out in front of the Street Profits, leading her team to the ring. You know what I'm saying? It's old school manager-managee mentality, right? Paul Bearer never walked behind The Undertaker. He walked in front of The Undertaker. Brother Love always walked in front. Jimmy Hart always walked in front. You know what I'm saying? Bobby Heenan always walked in front or to the side. Heyman to the front or to the side. He only walked behind the tribal chief, but that was on purpose. You know what I'm saying? He only walked behind the tribal chief, but that was on purpose.
They just haven't given us, like, I don't think B-Fab has established just that equity that we talk about. That I get what you're saying, and I think it would help, but she's got to find a way to become something we search out for on screen. You know what I mean?
I do.
For me right now, she's just there. She hasn't, like, added a lot to the act. She hasn't found her groove. There's been moments in some of the backstage segments, but, and to your point, I think what you're getting at, like, when it comes time for the bell to ring, I don't think she has found a way to really make herself an addition to the act rather than just, she's just there again, like
Yeah.
I said.
But here's the thing, though, right? What I'm saying is, I think that is what you do to start that. I don't think that's what you do to follow it up, right? If you want people to care, the easiest thing to make them care about is the fact that she is a part of that tag team. Not as a wrestler, obviously, right? But like, she's part of the team dynamic. Putting her in the back makes her an afterthought like she already is. At least if you put her in the front, she can be Scarlett to Karrion Kross. Scarlett didn't add much to the matches at all, right? But she led her man to the ring. It made her a prominent part of it, at the very least, the intro. You know what I'm saying? Which is what a manager's supposed to be.
So you're saying don't renew B-Fab's contract and you want the Street Profits going?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Like. I don't want anybody to lose their jobs. I'm just saying, if you wanted to at least, it's not even about B-Fab. Right? It's about the presentation. That's kind of what I'm getting at, right? It's about the presentation. The manager should be an established part of the act that you are portraying on screen. You know what I'm saying? There were many, many acts over the years that those managers from the past that I talked about, right, managed that were not a big deal. Right? How many people did a Sensational Sherry manage over her career that were not the Macho Man? Right? But we remember the Macho Man because the Macho Man was Macho Man. In fact, he was Macho King at that time. Right? But she managed people other than the Macho Man. Nobody really cares. But the presentation mattered. Sensational Sherry led them to the ring. That's what the manager does. It's the presentation of it. Right? Just from a professional wrestling standpoint. For me, when you're following the team in the background and the camera shots are such that like half the time I don't even see her back there, you know what I'm saying? And you don't have a presence outside the ring, why are you even there? And that, like I said, this is not about me trying to make the Street Profits any more relevant or make B-Fab relevant. It's just a wrestling critique from a wrestling fan about the presentation of the product. You know what I'm saying? The manager should just be an established part of the visuals on screen. And I just think if you just plucked her from the back, place her in the front, don't change anything she's doing. Do the same stuff she's doing. But if you put her in front and you saw her every week, right, at least there is some visual equity that you build with the tag team. You just don't get that more than what you're getting now, which is a simple change. But if you see her more visually, you become a bit more attached. That's just how human beings work, right? But
that's a good point. Fair point.
You know,
interesting. Something I had never thought of before.
You know, it's just one of them things. Like, you know, we were having a conversation not too long ago about like entrance themes and about how entrance themes are like impactful to the presentation and how like the presentation may change from like NXT to the main roster and how it can kind of lose a bit of pizzazz when certain things don't hit the same way. In my opinion, it's all about the product, right? It's all about the presentation. And if you present it well, even though it may not be the biggest thing on the card, at least it's presented well enough, right? It's hitting those boxes, even if it's not landing with everyone. Look, the Wyatt Six, in my opinion, are not landing, right? They're not landing. Like this cover band thing is tired, it's played out, it's kind of whack, honestly. But one thing they inherited from Bray was presentation, right? They at least present well, and therefore it's something to watch whenever they come out. Now, you may fast forward through the match. You know what I'm saying? Like as a wrestling fan at the show, you may go get popcorn now or go use the restroom. Or for me, I might get some nachos, right? But you're not going to leave when the Wyatt Six is coming to the ring. You know what I'm saying? Because the intro is all presentation. The presentation is dope, right? And so that matters, right? We haven't seen, what's her name? Nikki Cross do a single thing in the ring since she joined the Wyatt Six. Nothing, right? But for the first, like, I don't know, 3-4 times that the Wyatt Six came to the ring, the first person that you saw was Abby the Witch, right? She was out there and then she was pointing to the back. You know what I'm saying? When they would come out. It's just about the presentation. It's setting up something that fits with the motif that you're trying to put forward. And I just think when it comes to managers, and I'm such a big fan of like old school managers that like they're supposed to serve a purpose visually to the act and to the product. And when you put the manager behind the act and you barely see them and they don't really have a presence during the matches, particularly because you're a good guy, right? The good guys have managers who don't get involved, right? So when you have a heel team and you've got a manager, managers are way more involved, right? So if you put her in front, at least she's visual part of the team. But anyway, that's the most conversation you all will probably hear about the SmackDown Tag Team Division this year.
Hey,
but
I was thinking this one thing before we move on.
Yeah.
Was that match the first time the Wyatts had quote unquote cheated?
I think so.
Because Bo got involved and it hit one of them with the Sister Abigail, right?
Yep, and Abby cheated, and Abby DeWitt cheated too.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe not. They could have cheated a lot, and I don't remember it, but that stuck out to me as like the first time I remember them actually winning like bad guys.
Listen, that's something. Now, look, I'm not trying to save the Wyatt Six, but I'm trying to think that like if I was on the creative team and this was my job, right, then it would be my job to try and creatively get everyone over. You know what I'm saying? So what would I do to try and get them over? Listen, lean into that. That's what every great heel faction does that gets them all kinds of heat, right? They can't be these like goofy, creepy tweeners. Like it doesn't work. But if they were straight up heels like the Wyatts were, like the Wyatt family was, make them straight up heels and then have stuff go on like that, where it's like, this is how they're winning matches because there's too many of them, right? At the end of the day, when you peel back all of the cosmetic veneers, which is like the Wyatt Six versus the Bloodline, right? The Bloodline image of the family and the Samoans and the visage of the Wyatt Six, that's just the window dressing, right? When you peel it back, what you're really just looking at is there's a bunch of people in one faction who, just like the Judgment Day, just like the Bloodline, can get involved in order to maintain and secure victories, right? That's what any real heel faction does and does well. Division is currently doing a great job of it. So that would be what I would do, is make them just the heel faction, right? Make them a heel faction. Let the fans boo their actions. They're always going to like the intro because it's, you know, it's freaking playing, what's that song called? Don't Stop Believing. Is that the same name of the song?
That's the Journey song.
That's the Journey song, right? Yes. It's like the Journey song. Whenever they play that Journey song anywhere, everybody knows, just a small town girl. Like everybody knows that, right? They're always going to stand up for the hit, even if they're heels. So just let that rock, right? They're going to love the intro. They're going to turn their lights on. It's always going to be cool. And then when the match starts, they're going to boo the heel stuff, right? So just lean into it and just let Eric Rowan intimidate people outside the ring and let Nikki Cross cheat and let Bo Dallas cheat, right? And then just let them be cheaters. And then you can let the faces actually be faces and not scared little punks of like the creepy, weird kids in school. That's odd. But, you know, listen, I don't write for WWE, though that would be a dream job. That would be a dream job. So we had the SmackDown tag team match. We had the four-way match. We had Roman versus Bronson. Oh, we had Nikki Bella and Becky Lynch. So that, honestly, Skeener, was exactly what I thought it was going to be. Just a match. And
yeah, it was what it was. I enjoyed it. I thought there were good moments in it. I thought Nikki was good, fine to good. But obviously that match was what it was because there were bigger things to come for Becky Lynch. True. On Saturday night.
True. And so, yeah, it was what it was. It was what it was. Nikki did indeed show up on Raw, and she was talking with EO and got run off by Asuka and to a much, much lesser extent, Kyrie. And I don't know what we do with Nikki Bella, but listen, I'm glad we segued right into this because let me tell you something.
Yes, I've been waiting to talk about this. So we're on the same page on how much we enjoyed this then.
I love what they're doing with Asuka and Kyrie.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been waiting to talk about how great that
Well,
was.
hey, look, well, you lead us off, brother, because if we're on the same page here, then I know we're going to be in lockstep here. Go right ahead.
I mean, you like to say in your bag. Speaking of in her bag is Asuka right now. And the way they've just kind of, I don't know who's behind it, but this direction and this, she's just found this groove with this heel character with sass. Maybe it's the contacts she's put in have got her feeling some type of way, but like just this entire story, and it's got Rhea in it, it's got Io in it, it's got Kyrie as kind of her sidekick. I mean, and Asuka's just kind of throwing her weight around, giving everyone some attitude. She's, I think we started off the night with Io coming to make sure like everything's all good, right? And they're like, it's fine. And Asuka's like, it's fine, Io, don't worry about it. And then Asuka walks off screen, and for the first time in the night, like Kyrie hangs around, and you hear her from off screen, Kyrie, and Kyrie has to scurry off.
That's
and then,
my favorite
we get
part.
that back later in the night where Io's with Rhea.
What a great segment, right?
Yeah, and then, we've got that Asuka Rio. That seems like that's going to come to a head at some point.
Sure.
And I think that's going to be incredible. Just, the superstar that Rhea is, and Asuka reemerging and finding her lane with this character. And when the Kabuki Warriors were doing the heel stuff in the COVID Raws, they were like my favorite part of the show. And we're approaching the point where I don't know if they're going to overtake Punk, Seth, Becky, but like those were great segments on Monday. And they're thoroughly entertaining. And just like the icing on the cake of, Kyrie hangs around on screen too long and you hear Asuka, Kyrie! And she has to,
Dude, that is the best part, man. That is the best part.
The classic henchman.
Yes. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me almost of, and I don't know why this analogy keeps popping into my head, but it's almost like a matriarch headed family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where, Asuka is the matriarch, and, she loves her sisters, and, she wants to take care of her sisters, and they want to run things. But she is not cool with any gaijins, you know what I'm saying? Like in her presence and taking up real estate with their family. And anything that you do outside of the family is treated almost like betrayal. And that's how she's approaching Io's relationship with anybody, right? Who is not herself or Kyrie. And Kyrie is like the younger sister of the three, and she wants to be there for Io, but she's absolutely not going to go against Big Sister Asuka. And Big Sister Asuka, as you said so apropos, is throwing all of her weight around. Like, she knows how dangerous she is, and she knows that her sisters know, and she knows, I'm going to refer to them as sisters because that's how they refer to each other. Right. And I think it helps to paint the picture for the story a lot better when you look at it like they're like siblings. Right. Asuka knows the dominance that she carries over her sisters. Right. Mm-hmm. And at least the perceived dominance that she has over her sister Io. Right. And Io seems to understand it as well. Like, she would really prefer not to be butting heads with Asuka. And so she's trying to keep the peace, and Kyrie is desperately trying to keep the peace. And Asuka is fine until she's not. And when she's not, she is domineering. She is overbearing. She is really spiteful, right? And she is not afraid to step to anybody and really make that moniker of no one is ready for Asuka a more than just a motto. It's like a statement of intent, right? Like,
and that's how she used it, because I forget exactly, this isn't going to be the exact words, but when she was bowing up to Rhea and she's like, I don't care who you are, you're still not ready for Asuka.
Yes. It's a declaration of intent. And I'm thinking about this on the fly because this is the best part of Raw, one of the best parts.
Yeah, I thought so too.
The women, I don't recall ever really getting something that like the men get, right? And I don't know who you could maybe introduce into this feud to kind of give them some equity and then serve them up to the slaughter of Asuka. But we've gotten this in the men's stories before. And I think that it, lends to the gravitas of the overall story, but also it lends to real character development when somebody gets a brutal beatdown, right? Mm-hmm. And listen, I'm not suggesting that this be the person. I'm just pulling a name out of the hat, right? Say it's poor Maxine, right?
That's exactly the name that I was thinking.
Say it's poor Maxine, and Maxine is maybe saying something to Io along the lines of like, you shouldn't let your sisters push you around like that, right? And then Asuka challenges her to a match. And against all of everyone else's pleading, she's like, no, I'm going to do this. And she goes out there, or maybe you substitute that with like Natalya, because Natalya's at least got some chops to go, right? And you take Natalya out there, and Natalya's a beloved figure. I think it'd be better if you did some with somebody like her, right? And you take her out there and like she gets beaten by Asuka. And then Asuka goes to work and like make it painful. Make it a little protracted, right? A little drawn out, and even let them do maybe a spot or two that you would normally get between the women. You know what I'm saying? And like let's make it nasty and bring all the staff out there when it starts going down. You know what I'm saying? Give her the Bronson Reed treatment. Let the staff come out there and Asuka keeps coming back, and just make it so that Io knows that, okay, my sister is completely out of control.
And then she's got to go backstage, and we got to get a segment where she just like sells it like she didn't just annihilate someone.
Yeah, but it's just another Monday.
Yep, exactly. That's what I'd envision.
Dude, you served that story so well by doing something like that, right? And you can really bring Rhea into the mix, right? Because now Rhea is there for Io, because Io is like, Asuka's out of control, right? Kyrie is not on board with what Asuka did, but she is absolutely not going to go against Asuka, right? So she is like a captive teammate, and Asuka is the monster, right? And not only have you served this story up for like a great tag team match between Rhea and Io, right? Versus Asuka and Kyrie, but also you've added this layer to Asuka that is nuclear. You know what I'm saying? Like that right there is a place that few women have been ever allowed to go, right? And this story has just really played itself out in a way that it's prime for something like that. Like Asuka needs to be unhinged slightly in a way that is disturbing, you know? I think disturbing is the best word for it. Like what she needs to do to somebody is disturbing. And
I just almost like, this is one thing where I'm like, is it next Monday yet? Because I want to see more of this.
Yeah, agreed.
And it kind of like, we've seen this building and we've talked about how much we like this, and it gives another dynamic for Rhea that's not to do with the belt. And Io, despite her having a title match, I'm still leaning like she's going to stay without the belt.
Agreed.
But this is where characters are made and stuff can pop up. Like this Asuka stuff could be the beginning of something, that we talk about for years and years and years to come.
Yeah.
At least that's the way I felt when I watched everything.
Yeah. This could be a really great storyline that builds like a monster heel. You know what I'm saying? In a very different way than Becky was a monster heel. You know what I'm saying? Like, This can be very, very different, because Becky was not the dominant heel champion in that way. She was just really good. She's Becky Lynch and she's a heel. She's the man, right? But Asuka can be terrifying in that position. You know what I'm saying?
This is almost like having the care. I don't want to say she didn't have it, but obviously it's different. She's more experienced in the WWE style. Like, this is can you put the substance of this behind that in-ring presentation of the undefeated streak era almost? Like, and just like how talented do you have to be that entertaining and that captivating and get your point across in a language that's not your first language. Like that's impressive to me too.
Oh yeah. Oh no, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it just
it's
right
a special type of charisma.
It is. It's hitting on way more cylinders than I expected it to. And, I think you hit the nail on the head. This is yet another great avenue for Rhea to be in a great picture that does not involve the title, right? This is where character work and characters are born, and in these really great stories. And this could just be a great jumping off point for obviously the Rhea and Io feud. Like, this is just another story in their overall story. You know what I'm saying? Another stop on that journey, because they will eventually come back against one another, whether it's for the title or not. And Rhea will finally conquer the one thing she has not been able to conquer, which is Io, right? But we'll get back to that. There is a respect in their competitiveness that they have earned with each other, right? Asuka, I was thinking as you were talking just now, right, about like all of Asuka's zany actions that she does in the ring are just that, right? They're zany. But this character bend for her could lend like a whole new light to the zany antics she does in the ring. Like, maybe she's a little nuts. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe they respect Asuka because Asuka's dangerous and Asuka's a little freaking crazy. And, she will knock your block off so quickly as to smile at you. And if you just lean into that, like, they really play this right, man. Like, this is a great part about when a division and the writing team behind them are really hitting on all cylinders, right? Because we were talking not just 2 weeks ago, right, about what are we going to do now that Naomi is away? Because she seemed to be carrying a lot of the juice with her, right? But then you just pull Asuka and the Kabuki Warriors, into the forefront, and you do it in a way where you're telling a story that plays to the strengths of these characters, right? Kyrie serves as the perfect meek little sister stuck between her two older sisters. You know what I mean? She plays that role great. And I've said it before, you were talking about it earlier, and it's the part I pop for every time, right? Asuka storms off. Kyrie hangs around and is either trying to show sympathy, right? Trying to pacify the situation or trying to placate someone. And then you hear, Kyrie!
Yeah. That's so good.
And then she has to scurry off because she's not going to go against big sister Asuka. Mm-hmm. Man, this is who would have thought, right? Like 3 weeks ago, we'd be saying, yo, how about the Kabuki Warrior spot with Io and Rhea and how great that's turning out to be?
It's just, it's like we saw that there was like something good going there, but I didn't think it was going to be
to this degree.
At least, yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
not.
I mean, no one was. But yeah, it's great. When wrestling's good, there's nothing that I like more. And this is good wrestling.
This is good wrestling.
This is good sports entertainment, good pro wrestling, just great.
At its finest, brother. So was that everything from Clash in Paris?
Pretty much.
Okay. That was everything in Clash in Paris. Did we get anything else of significance with the fallout of Monday Night Raw?
I think we have covered everything that I would say is of significance.
I think so too.
I'm not sure if it's Netflix or WWE, but the strategy of dealing with the shut the F up chance by making the screen black. I don't know if cutting the picture dealt with the audio during the Becky promo, but I applaud them for trying.
They tried something.
Someone knew they had to hit some button.
Yeah. Did they hit the right one? I don't think so, but
yeah,
I don't know. It didn't help. It didn't help because the timing for the audio cuts were off.
It always seems to be.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I get it. Like, you doing this stuff on the fly.
Yeah.
But like, it seemed particularly egregious at Paris on Raw, because they were just like missing the mark entirely. I heard every F that was given in Paris.
I don't get the thought process of blacking the screen out for it.
You know what I think that was? I think somebody in the truck was like,
just cutting the whole thing. Yeah, just the kill button.
I'm laughing because I imagine somebody in the truck and they're trying to time the button hits, right? To bleep out the F's.
Yeah.
And they keep missing and they look over and like their manager is like, you're screwing this up. And then they're like, and they hit, now the picture's gone, Stu. Now the picture's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Man, dude, what a way to wrap up a great week of wrestling. And
yeah, I was a little like not super enthused, but those shows Sunday and Monday left me very, very entertained. I had a good time with them. So
yeah, I agree. You know what? I do not miss, just to say writ large, I do not miss PLEs being on Sundays, but this was a bit nostalgic in a way to kind of like turn on a PLE on a Sunday. You know what I mean? It kind of took me back a little bit. And I'm glad that Monday was Labor Day because, you know, if PLEs were still on Sundays at their regular time, that was the worst. Was it like you'd have these long PLEs and they would come on and it's like you're trying to stay up, but you got to get up and do something on Monday, i.e. work. And you know, it just made for a miserable Monday. So I don't miss them per se, but it was a bit nostalgic to have the PLE on a Sunday. Who knows what's going to be in the future? I hope it's not Sundays, obviously, but ESPN has already introduced to us a brand new PLE in WrestlePalooza, which came literally out of nowhere. I'm wondering if we're going to get more PLEs throughout the year that are special because ESPN has got some additional vested interest in having WWE programming on their platform.
Will be something to watch. Yeah. Hadn't really thought about that, but very possible.
I wonder if we're going to get more like WWE presence on ESPN.
That I would say is almost a certainty.
You think they're going to start covering it on ESPN?
Yeah, I bet. I mean, why not? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Like if you got a vested interest in putting more eyes on it.
Yeah,
talk about
that would make sense. That would make sense. They should start covering the Lariat Lounge on ESPN.
Wouldn't hurt.
No, it wouldn't hurt us. It might hurt them. Like people are going to watch like, who the hell are these guys? But we'll get a nice little bump. So, you know, ESPN, if you're listening, we don't even have to go on programming. You can put us on the app. That'll actually be a great home for the Lariat Lounges on the ESPN app. If you're interested, you know, reach out, you know, through the socials. Skeena typically tells you guys at the top of the show where you can reach us. But if you're listening to the Lariat Lounge and you work for ESPN or Netflix or USA or any other app that would be interested in sponsoring and working with an up-and-coming podcast who gives you hard hits, real talk, you can check us out on these platforms. Skeena, where are those platforms so they can catch us?
We're coming at you once a week, at least every week, audio format, podcast, what you're listening to right now, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, all your favorite platforms, we're up there. We're over on social media at the Lariat Lounge Podcast on Instagram. You'll see a post every time every time a new episode goes up. We're posting stories, polls, everything like that. Always happy to get a DM from you all on what you think of wrestling, what you think of the show. You can send us an email at thelariatlounge@gmail.com. We really do love hearing from you all. So please, anything you're thinking about, any thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, hate mail, anything, please send it our way. We'll talk about it on the show if you want, or we'll respond to you in private. But please help us grow this community.
Yes, we want your participation, and we love to hear from you guys. Skeena, what is your big takeaway from this week? We were supposed to start doing this, and I forgot to do it last week. What is your one big takeaway from this week in wrestling?
My one big takeaway. I think we're going to start heating up. It felt like maybe we were in a bit of a lull, but we got WrestlePalooza coming, and you said you're going to, like you said, you were going to stack that up for ESPN. We got 3 weeks. I think we're about to get some good stuff here in the next few months at a time of year where it was kind of hit or miss.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I think my big takeaway from the world of wrestling, and I'll make this quick. I think this is outside of the world of WWE. I think the world of professional wrestling has been on the tongues and the lips of a lot of people who don't watch professional wrestling, and for reasons that have nothing to do with WWE. I have been online and I have seen so many real asinine takes from a lot of people surrounding the Knox Pro Wrestling situation, Raja Jackson. And I will say this, hats off to some of the people who have really stepped up and taken the time to break the situation down and to discourage the idea that what happened that evening had anything to do with the form of entertainment that we all love, whether you're a professional wrestler or whether you're somebody who consumes the product, right? What Raja Jackson did was Raja Jackson's actions. None of that was a part of the show. And I rebuke anyone who opens their mouth and says anything to insinuate otherwise. I'm talking to you, Ariel Hawani. I watched your segment talking about this a week or so after it happened. And I don't dislike a lot of your takes, but when you somewhat suggest that the whole situation backstage that led to what happened in the ring was a part of the show, you do a disservice to the world of professional wrestling in general. There's a lot of people who would relish in the idea of cutting professional wrestling back down to the corner that it used to be in, where everyone used to talk about how illegitimate it is and how much of a blight on sports wrestling was. What happened at Knox Pro was a blight on professional wrestling, for sure. It should have never happened because it happened in a professional wrestling ring. But for anyone out there, whether you are a former professional wrestler, whether you are a WWE legend who does not know when to turn the microphone off, or when you are a commentator who wants to make hot takes without seemingly the ability to understand a story that some of us seem to have gotten the first time we watched the full video. Now with a week and a half of context, please turn your mic off and do us all a service and allow professional wrestling to continue to grow and shine and be the beacon of sports and entertainment that it currently is, because there's a lot good that's happening, and I really do not want all of this goodwill to be intermeshed unnecessarily with the actions of one individual who was not part of the professional wrestling world. So, from myself, Everson Godfrey, and my co-host Andrew Skeens, this has been another edition of the Lariat Lounge. We love you guys. Come back and check us out next week, and please watch yourself on the way out.